How to live below your means without feeling deprived. We can all agree that now we live in a time where it is incredibly hard to get ahead financially. From rising inflation to stagnant wages, most of us are facing an uphill battle, and it's causing many people to have to make large sacrifices to stay afloat. Fortunately, there's another way. In fact, with the right strategies in place, there's no reason you can't live below your means, save a ton of money, and still live an enjoyable life. And that's what we're going to get into right now. Typically, frugal people are huge advocates of living below your means, from the ability to get ahead financially to simply having less stress to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Being responsible with how you spend your money is beneficial for a multitude of reasons. Sadly though, many people simply can't figure it out, and it's for this reason that we see headlines stating that the majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck every single month. Many people have struggled with their finances in the past and can empathize with these people. Most employers are doing everything in their power to pay employees as little as they can, while companies are passing on the cost of inflation to us through the products and services that they sell. This perfect storm of low wages and rising prices is exactly why many people are feeling completely financially restricted, and in many cases are having to resort to extreme measures just to try to keep up. When you're making a low income, there's a lot of sacrifice. No going out with friends, no new clothes, or going on vacation. This can lead to dark times and speaks to just how impactful money truly is on the quality of our lives. Now, fortunately, it's possible to escape this financial state. However, it's often not possible without employing a few strategies that allow you to eventually shift from being broke and miserable to comfortable and content. When you're broke, you are deprived of two very valuable things: money and time. The first, deficiency, is obvious on the surface, but when you peel back the onion, being broke is actually costlier than you'd imagine. For instance, when you have little money, you often have to subject yourself to inopportune financial situations. Some examples include having to rely on credit to meet your bills, or having to access more financing when buying things like a car or home. These situations are wealth-building barriers because they force you to subject yourself to interest charges that you'd be much better off avoiding. Another example relates to trying to get ahead. If you study those who build true wealth, you'll notice that their journey doesn't happen overnight. For instance, it's taken Warren Buffett 80 years to amass the wealth that he has today, and many of the companies you normally interact with have been around for decades. This is why you're often told that one of the keys to becoming wealthy is to be patient. However, this is easier said than done when you're having trouble living below your means. As such, people who want to tackle this issue by raising their income in a hurry tend to fall for schemes that take more money out of their pockets than it puts in them. Now, we can continue talking about the monetary impacts that being financially stagnant can lead to, but the biggest sacrifice you often give up is your time. There's a reason we have cliche statements like time is our most valuable resource, and why rich people tend to outsource many of their tasks to free up time. This is because time is fleeting. You can always earn back spent money, but you can never reclaim lost time. Sadly, when you're broke, time is what you tend to give up the most. This can be because you're doing all of your administrative chores yourself, because you have to work 2 jobs to keep up, or because you have to opt for cheaper solutions, like taking an hour bus ride to work instead of driving, in order to make sure you can meet your bills at month's end. Obviously, none of these situations are ideal and can be avoided as your finances begin to improve, but until you're making it rain, it's key to make your day-to-day life more enjoyable as you strive to live below your means. As such, gently tap that like button below, and let's get into how to manage both the cost of time and money, and how you can maximize enjoyment while striving to meet all of your lofty financial goals. Given that your biggest challenge right now is meeting your financial obligations, let's start with how you can resolve your money issue. As you already know, there are 2 ways to tackle living below your means: spend less or earn more. Ideally, you can do both at the same time, but generally speaking, people find it easier to cut expenses than to make more money. So let's start with saving first. When you're struggling with money, what can help is looking at your most costly expenses. I know we are giving the advice that to save money you need to cut coffees and cancel Netflix, but what if you really like coffee or enjoy watching Netflix? Now, don't get me wrong, cutting small expenses can add up, but they will never be as impactful as getting your bigger expenses dialed in. For example, unless you're drinking like 10 Starbucks coffees a day, how much can that really add up to, right? This is why you want to focus your attention on larger expenses like your housing, transportation, and food. For instance, I used to spend a lot of money on Ubers, clubbing, and going out to eat, and these 3 expenses were single-handedly causing me to stagnate financially. For you, your challenge may be admitting to yourself that the lavish apartment you live in is probably not necessary, or that maybe you should take up cooking, rather than ordering in multiple times a week. In many cases, you won't even feel deprived dialing back on the expenses I just mentioned. In fact, if anything, cutting out on these unnecessary costs will allow you to avoid drinking yourself into oblivion, while also reducing your financial stress as you start to see your savings efforts begin to add up. Humans are very good at adapting to the situations we put ourselves in. For instance, if you downsize your place, it may suck at first, but then you may realize that living in a smaller home or apartment means spending less time cleaning, which frees up more time for that Netflix show you've had to neglect. Alternatively, removing some of the driving you're doing may reduce the stress caused by being on the road, or could add the benefit of learning if you plug in an audiobook when taking the bus to work. Honestly, most things won't feel like a sacrifice, especially if you spin your lifestyle changes in a positive way, and by focusing on the expenses that can be modified to the greatest degree, living below your means will be achievable and enjoyable. However, if there was one hack to living below your means that trumps them all, it's making more money. It's much easier to spend less than you make when you're earning $20,000 a month than just $2,000. Now, obviously this is an extreme example, but I'm sure you can attest to the benefits you've realised whenever you've gotten a raise or promotion at work and see a bit of separation between your monthly income and expenses. In fact, until you realise the importance of your income, your wealth will never take off. Once you start making extra money, living below your means will literally take 0 effort at all, and you will be able to reintegrate some of life's luxuries back into your lifestyle. It's a win-win situation. This is why it's advisable for people to find additional ways to make more money if they can. It can be as simple as picking up overtime hours at work, getting a second job, or building an online business. In fact, this channel talks a lot about making more money, and if that's something you're striving to do, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Now, with the saving tactics just shared, along with raising your awareness of the power of income, you should have most of the tools to improve your ability to live below your means. However, while these tools help solve the money issue, time is the other resource we need to remain mindful of. As mentioned, in order to make real headway in your finances, you will need to earn more income. For most people, this will require earning active income, which will consume a lot of your current free time. This is why you need to find efficiencies in your life to make this work. As such, let's go over some of the time-saving tactics you can use to get out of any bleak financial situation and live your best money life. The first tactic you'll want to employ is automating your finances. Budgeting and bill management are critically important in having proper finances, and most people are best off automating these activities. With all the technology out there today, there's no reason you should have to spend time paying bills, running numbers and the like. All this can be done for you using apps and systems, and this one trick alone can easily save you a few hours a month. Next, there's time arbitrage. Those who become rich use time better than the average person. It's really that simple. Once you learn about time arbitrage and use it to your financial advantage, everything will change. You'll go from doing everything yourself to only tackling your most important tasks and outsourcing the rest. For instance, you may no longer clean your house, go to the store to buy groceries, and may even outsource many of your business tasks. This leaves you with a ton more time. However, unless you have a very generous friend, parent or neighbour who will do all of those tasks for you, doing so will come at a cost. This is why you need to replace this saved time with income-generating activities. For instance, if you can make $50 an hour, then it makes sense to pay someone $20 an hour to clean your house while you collect the difference in profit. When you do this enough, you'll actually get further ahead financially while freeing up more time, so your whole life doesn't end up revolving around money. Now, the final tactic that you can employ will take some time to set up, but it's worth it. You see, no one wants to have to trade time for money forever, and this is where setting up passive income streams comes into play. Once you start making money more actively, you soon realize you have no time for anything else. This is when you will be triggered to make an investment into assets that will pay you without being actively involved. This could come in the form of YouTube channels, but this effect can be duplicated through rental properties, blogs, e-commerce stores and the like. Setting up 1 or 2 passive income systems is the ultimate hack to living below your means without feeling deprived. When you're making money without actively working, you fix both your money and time issues at once. The best part is that building an asset that makes you money while you sleep doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg, making it perfectly aligned to your goal of living below your means. Speaking of living below your means, in this next video, you'll learn how you can easily live below your means. So click on over and let's get started.